Hi, this is Liv Morgan, and you are listening to No One Knows, a deep dive podcast into the mysterious death of Joann Matouk Romain. Okay, hi guys, Liv here. I am coming to you with just an update episode. We've kind of left off on a lot of things, so we've had a lot of questions, a lot of DMs. We just want to touch on everything and kind of go from there. But I have Kellie with me.
Hi.
So we're going to kind of go through everything and then go from there. So first on the list, I'll let Kellie answer this. We have a lot of questions about Billy Matouk Jr. hitting the billboard, where we're at with that court case.
Okay, so for anyone listening now, please go back and listen to episode 1, 2, 3. I think he's right in the middle about the billboard. So back in June, Billy Jr. ran into our billboard that we had roaming around town, and it was the end of June, and so he's been out of court since that happened, and the most recent court date was adjourned into the middle of January. They were asking for witnesses.
Yeah.
Liv was present for I think we're on court hearing 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah, each time it's been adjourned for just like small things.
Little things. Liv's been present for all of them. So this last one was pushed out because they were asking for witnesses. So it got pushed to the middle of January, and Liv obviously will be back in court with them for that.
Yeah.
And we will hopefully have more information then, except, let's hope it doesn't get pushed out.
Right, and I always tell everybody, as much as we'd like this to go as quick as possible, I mean, we're dealing with law enforcement here. So.
Yeah, in real-time events. So.
Yep. So, speaking of court, the other questions we've been getting is in regards to the embezzlement. So, for those of you that have missed, there was a case that came forward out of Woods Wine, which Billy Jr.'s dad owns, your mom's brother.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman that supposedly embezzled. It's odd because it's reported as $350,000, but I've heard it's actually in the court documents up towards $750,000, which is a big jump.
Big difference, yeah. I'm not sure where that falls.
Yeah. So I also attended that court hearing, which was held in Grosse Pointe Woods, which... Another thing, when I walked in, Tim's wife was a court reporter there, which I thought was...
Yeah, we were a little confused by that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is weird, but okay.
Yeah, little did we know that they share court reporters because they're both small courts, but we didn't know.
Yeah,
but
no idea. Just a small little thing.
Fun fact.
Yeah. But when I got there, everybody was there for... that I'm assuming works at the store. Bill, Senior, Rosemary, and then 2 of their children. Not Billy.
Two of Bill's kids were there. And again, I because we don't talk anymore, I'm not sure who works there every day, so I don't know if they were there for support or they work there. Either way.
Yeah.
So 2 out of 4 of the kids were.
They were a little surprised to see me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So, I mean, I don't have any further updates on that. That was also adjourned. The individual who was indicted on the charges for the embezzlement, they were concerned because he was traveling out of the country for a wedding. They were worried there was not going to be an extradite back to the U.S. if something happened. So that was put in place, and then that's also adjourned for mid-January. So
that they were were supposed to have been there recently, and that got just moved. So
yeah. So we were there this week, Wednesday.
Was it this week? Yeah. But we're not sure. We don't know why it was moved or when it's rescheduled for yet either. Yeah. So as soon as we know, we will pass it along. Again, real-time events here, so it's kind of hard to...
yeah. It's a waiting game, right?
It's a waiting game.
So while we're talking about real-time events, I want to talk all real-time stuff right now, and then we'll kind of go back to the other questions that people have. So the next question I have, which was asked a lot, and I know people are... It almost comes off as like they're frustrated, and I get it, but I also remind people, like, you guys are Joann's children, and you've been doing this for 15 years next month. So people are asking, what's the update on the national news? And they're like, you left us breadcrumbs. What's going on? We thought this was happening. Where are we at? I know they just want to see justice in the case, so it's all coming from a good standpoint. But
yeah, for sure.
What can we give an update on that without hurting the case or the integrity of the case?
Yeah, and I again, no one wants to hear a delayed response or whatever it is, but the things we were working on to get it part of national news was everything was delayed. Mm-hmm. And
I think we need to remind people that we're working with others.
Yes, we were working with others. It's not just us trying to push this forward either. So everything that we've been working on that was going to be national stuff is, I don't want to say delayed, but it's still in progress.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be completed faster than it has been, which we should know better by now. But we thought we were going to be able to share more content a little bit sooner. And unfortunately, that didn't happen the way we thought or the way that it was planned. So it's still a waiting game on our end, too. And we hate that we put that out there and couldn't give you guys more. But we really thought that it was going to come sooner than it did. So we apologize for that. But we promise it's going to be really good when we are able to share everything that we have. But here we are, real time things happening.
Yeah, and we're going to I'll touch on it for a second too. The next individual that's coming on the podcast is going to be a huge piece to the puzzle of everything that I feel like we've been talking about the last 3 or 4 months with everybody.
Yes.
So I tell everybody, patience is key when it comes to this case.
It really is, and
it's a lot of moving people, a lot of moving parts.
We still have trouble with the patience part, and we've been doing this for 15 years now. So
well, no wonder you have 15 years. Like,
and again, it's right. Deep breaths.
Yeah, but
baby steps.
We are. Everything's moving in a direction it needs to be moving in. So, like I said, the next interview that's going to be coming out after this episode, will be worth the wait.
Yes.
So
1,000%.
Yeah. Okay. So current time, somebody asked, have we heard anything from Kim Worthy's office? They were mentioning that there was other picketers outside of Kim Worthy's office in regards to some mishandling of cases that she's also done that has nothing to do with your mom's case. We have not heard anything from Kim Worthy's office.
No, we have not. I think at this point we probably would have been more shocked if we had heard something from her office.
Agreed.
But still nothing. Radio silence from that end. But I think those picketers out there, it had nothing to do with our case, but I think that is helping.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
People are outraged and starting to get more outraged for everything, so I think that's going to help us either way.
Well, and I think it's a good reminder for people, too, that your mom's case isn't the only corrupt thing that's going on within Wayne County. Wayne County in itself, the judicial system, is extremely, flawed. And there's a lot of things that need to be readjusted, a lot of people that need to be readjusted. So I think take note of the things that are also going on outside of Joann's case, which is a lot of times on Instagram I'll share, local things that are going on in the communities. There was a man arrested recently in Allen Park for, sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that are going on within the, Wayne County. So, yeah. So
just pay attention.
Yeah.
It's not just us.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna kind of go back. There's some questions that people have had. It looks like a lot of people are starting off at episode 1. We've got a lot of new listeners. So some of the questions here that we've got, we probably should re-emphasize on. I hate the fact that even the information that has gotten out is misunderstood. I want to be very clear with it. So the first question I have, somebody says, I'm confused by her purse in the vehicle. Mm-hmm. Couldn't they ID her by the ID that was in her purse?
They could have, except for the fact that they opened the car after they came to our house.
Yes, the car was locked and you guys were there.
We watched them unlock the car.
Yeah, you had to call
They called a tow truck
company.
A tow company to come and unlock the car because no one had a key. And we watched them open it after we were on scene. So they wouldn't have known it was her because they didn't go in her purse because the purse was locked in the car.
It was already sitting on the front seat.
We saw her purse on the front seat of the car when we got to the church that night, and this was already in motion. So there was no way that
There was no possible way they could have known that that was her inside that vehicle unless they had prior knowledge,
Yep.
or they physically saw her, which none of them claim that they did.
Correct.
Based off their testimony.
Yep.
So it's impossible that they would have known. And let's just, as another reminder, the car was not registered to Joann. It was registered to her daughter, Michelle. So, yeah, we'll kind of leave the purse thing. So somebody else is saying, which we've kind of touched on this, they're having a hard time understanding the level of corruption and this level of cover-up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for people who've never really, I mean, how many times do I say to you, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like,
daily, still.
Yes.
A year, this long into this, it's daily.
Year in, and I'm still, and I think it's hard to comprehend because we all have this idea in our mind that people still do the thing, do the right thing
because
the
they're
police
are supposed to be there to help you. And again, they're not all bad,
but they're still human.
And I will say that yes, we went after 2 police departments as a whole during this process, and we did dismiss the ones that we knew were not involved. But of course, we had to go through the process to make sure that we had right.
That were just caught in the crossfires of...
there was the ones that know exactly what happened, and then there was the ones that were just doing their job, which you can't blame them for. But, in the middle of it, we didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
So, the ones that were just doing their job, again, there are good officers out there. We did dismiss them, once we were waiting through everything and seeing who was who and what happened. So, the level of corruption it's there.
It is. And I think for me too, like I laugh, but I have a flow chart, right?
Yeah.
So I have a flow chart of every single person that's been involved in this case.
So I think we'll drop that.
Yeah.
So you can, for all our visual listeners, so you can see who's who.
And I know we've shared images on Instagram and all of those things, but it's hard to, when you're talking to this many people, the connections. So I have a flow chart that I've been working on for the past year. Okay. And I think we drop that.
Yeah, we'll share what we can off of it. That makes sense.
There's a lot of names on there that I'm not comfortable sharing yet because...
We haven't gotten there yet, which is fine. Yeah. But, as far as these the police department corruption part...
the main players, Zelinsky, Rosati,
the ones from that night,
Colombo, McCarthy, Rogers,
all the names you guys have been hearing for a year now.
Yeah.
We'll lay that out for you guys. She did a very nice job on this flow chart, so it'll make more sense looking at it. And like I said, there was the ones that knew what happened and the ones that were doing their job. So this will explain it a little bit better, looking at this flow chart.
And it just gives you an idea of like, okay, this person was the one that was responsible for the mishandling of the keys. This is the one that was responsible for this. This was, it gives you just an idea.
Who did what that night to put everything in motion. And so it just, it lays it up very nicely.
And you know what? I think a good thing to say is there's no such thing as this many coincidences.
Right.
So that's a good reminder for people.
Always.
Okay, so... we have a few questions. People are asking about Paul Hawk's autopsy and about his brother that was murdered. At this time, I am not looking into any other murders. I know as we're looking into Joann's murder, we're coming across, Paul Hawk, who was the main eyewitness, Ted Kalasa, who was Tim Matouk's lover, ex-best friend back in the day, who was shot as well in his vehicle. I've gone into depth on those episodes, but it's almost too complicated to further go into them right now. I think if it comes to a point where we solve Joann's case and there's litigations in place, we can move forward looking at other. Mm-hmm. We know that there's connections.
We were able to make the connections to these people as best as we could involving my mom's case. As far as, Paul Hawk's brother, we don't know enough about him or...
Imagine the web we'd have in flowchart we'd have then.
Yeah, we don't know... We only know what we know from, what we pieced together that linked back to my mom. So, no deep diving on that, and we don't know anything more about it enough to, we followed the trail that helped us.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's probably lives at a huge web that will take us places we can't go right now.
I've never
There's just not time.
envisioned so much murder.
Yeah. Well,
around one murder.
Right.
I thought it was just going to be the one murder, and then all of a sudden there was. So there's another question somebody has. What's going on with Whitlack's murder? I mean, is it labeled a murder? Is there a connection? I firmly believe there's a connection, which is we did talk.
Did we touch on this?
We did talk about Whitlack.
Yeah.
We haven't fully gone into that, and there's reasons why. It has to do with the connections with the flow chart.
Okay, because I'm sorry for pausing on
this
because I mean we know what we know over here, and I always forget what Liv has put on certain episodes or not. But yeah, there is definitely a connection with Whitlack, and
definitely having to do with the autopsies.
Yeah,
his autopsy being performed by Spitz, who also missed the fact that your mom didn't have any water in her lungs. So there's definitely connections. Yeah. There's also connections when it comes to the people who investigated the case.
Yep.
Between local authorities, MSP. We have it all in the flow chart. It's something we're looking at.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm willing to comment on any further than that right now.
And again, as far as anything deeper than what's connected right to our stuff, we don't know anything more. Mm-hmm. So we can't comment on things that we don't know about. So.
Agreed. And like I said, it's all a work in progress. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is for right now. So we've got just a few more questions, and these ones are actually in regards to Tim. So one of them is, they just said, Tim Matouk tried to call you, ?
He did.
Yeah, so I got a random phone call last Friday. It was like 10:30 at night. And the way it works with our Google Voice, the way we set up the tip line was with a Google Voice. Because at one point when you guys had the tip line, somebody had to carry around a phone.
The first one, yeah, way back we had I don't think Google Voice was a thing.
No,
then.
Yeah, no.
So we had just another phone. We had a burner phone, if you will, if that's what they're called. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah.
So we had another phone that was the tip line. One of us always had it on us at all times. But now it's Google Voice.
Yeah, and it was just an easy way for us to do it. It
Yeah.
links directly to my phone, but how it works is when I receive a call, it actually pops up as the tip line. So that's why I know it's a phone number coming in through the tip line.
So it doesn't show us the incoming phone number when you're holding the phone.
Nope.
It shows us the number of the actual tip line.
Yep.
Which is
444-0445.
Yeah,
yep.
Right. So that's what showed up on her phone on Friday. So again,
and it was kind of late, so I answer it. And if you're familiar with Google Voice, how it works is it'll say state your name, and you can state your name. Some people just say anonymous, or when they tipster. It just said nothing. It was just like a grunt or something. And then so I'm like, okay. So it asked me if I want to accept the call, so I accept the call. And it was, I didn't realize it was Tim at first because the phone number, there was no name, there was no nothing. So I answer, I'm like, hello? They're like, I received a call from this number. Did you call me? And I was like, didn't call anybody from the tip line. Don't know where this, And then the voice kind of
rattled you a little bit.
Yeah, I almost like I recognized the voice, and I was like, this is weird.
Couldn't place them.
Yeah, and I never look up the phone numbers that we receive calls from.
So
because you can go back into Google.
Yeah, so you can look into Google. You have to go onto the website. However, so you can look it up and see what numbers are calling the line, but you can't do it while it's ringing. So she went back. Oh, so the person hung up on her, by the way.
Yeah.
So she said, I didn't call you, and the person hung up.
Yeah.
So she goes in and pulls the number, and guess who it is? It's Tim. So, Liv reaches out to us, and we said, oh, that's what he does. Because he also calls our original tip line.
Multiple times.
And, he left a message the one time, and I think we answered one of the times, or whatever it was, but where I go, that's just par for the course. This is what he does.
And
so.
the message he left for you, which is kind of great because this goes into the next question as well, was you need to look to Joann Matouk.
Yeah.
And
his wrongdoings are
bad business dealings
or something to that effect.
Yeah. So,
but there was no message this time from him. He just hung up. So I'm not really sure what.
I thought it was odd for sure.
I mean, yeah, I don't know where. Tim, what do you want?
Yeah.
Just let us know. Like what? I don't. I mean, what?
Yeah. Do you want to come on the podcast?
I mean, I just par for the course. I mean, okay.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Okay, so he's paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, great. I love it.
So, yeah, so that,
Yeah, it is what it is. So the next question, which is kind of good, it says, I'm so confused why Tim and Bill began messing with John's business. Like, they wanted to destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
And...
I mean, that's been a feud, literally... From what I can remember. Mm-hmm. And, I honestly do not know the root cause of it. If you ask me, I don't know.
I heard that it started just with like Bill and John with like the parents.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is shit's been going on my entire life. So I mean, I wish I had a better response for you at this point. What the actual reasoning is, why they're going, I don't know. I mean, Tim and Bill, what is your problem? Like, you know what I mean? It's all three of them. Like, we all need to be adults here. But I don't know what the root cause is. I mean, and they've literally been chasing John. Like I said, that's all I remember is this feud between them. And it's like, what's the actual reason though? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like.
And I think once it got to a point where it was like, beyond just like pettiness and it was like business and like money and threats and
because you ask John and he'll tell you his version of it, which there's truth to that too. And if you ask the other two, okay, they'll tell you something completely different. So where does this fall? I literally have no idea. So
but I do think the things that they did to him in the timeline right before your mom went missing.
And right thereafter as well.
Was no coincidence at all.
No.
I think that was a way to kind of destroy his credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And...
because, that's all they were... At that point, it was very evident that that's what they were trying to do, was destroy his credibility.
And anybody who knows John knows he would have never stopped speaking, yelling, screaming from the mountaintops. So if you think about it from the big, broad picture, you take away somebody's credibility.
Yeah.
Then the people that are looking at him are like, dude, what are you talking about? And it's like, well, like you said, there's some truth to the things that are...
There's a lot of truth, both for that. So, I mean, you have to remember, John's like the fourth kid at our house. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my mom's dead now. That was another parent for him. Mm-hmm. So... You could take away whatever you want from him. He's now like an orphan at this point again. And I can't imagine what that feels like on his end. I mean...
You've got 2 siblings.
I have 2 siblings. Probably have the same reaction if something happened to them too, at this point. Mm-hmm. But they weren't doing things to him. It's not going to shut him up, especially for my mom. Like, it's only going to make it worse. So now she's dead. You're just fucking with him, trying to take all the shit away from him, trying to ruin his credibility, trying to ruin his life.
His career,
right, I mean, like, he's very resilient, thank God.
I will say that.
I think that they forget that as they keep trying to do shit to him, but, like, he's not going to stop. This is my mom. Like, this is, that's the one thing we'll agree on with John at all times is we're here for justice for my mom. And no matter what it takes, we will get it. So as many times as they try to punch him and knock him down until this case is solved and she gets justice, he's not going to shut up either.
Yeah.
So they can keep throwing punches. Good luck.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
a great way to put it. I do. And I think that there'll be a point where at some point John will come back on the podcast because there's still things we need to discuss. But at this point, we've laid everything out the way that we've needed to get people to understand. And it's not a lack of, like, not wanting to tell people. It's more so, like, there is so much information. It's so deep.
Well, John has his own story to tell.
Yeah.
And we had to streamline it and condense it to what had to do with my mom. Yeah. And you could talk to him for days and years and months and forever because he's got such a story to tell. But, again, we had to condense it to and focus it on my mom. Mm-hmm. So we did the best we could to keep it contained to my mom.
Yeah. Because the things they've done to him is the corruption is way outside of just them taking his house.
Right. And pointing fingers at him for my mom's stuff and what, you know, the things that they did to him since she's been gone. But, so he'll be back.
Yeah. And, you know, the biggest thing for him that really sticks with me after, I mean, I talked to John, but even after his interview, he says, he's like, even if you don't like somebody, like, Bill didn't have to like Joann, Rosemary didn't have to like Joann, that's your sister. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that he constantly comes back to. Like, the anger he has for them comes from the fact of, you did this to our sister.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's something real sick about murderers, but the fact that...
Like, the end of the day, this is your sister, okay? There's families that don't talk all over the world.
I could tell you, I have family members I do not like, and I would hang up a missing poster sign
in
my store.
Right? Like, if you don't like somebody, if you can't stand somebody, it's just, like, don't talk to them, walk away. Ignore them, right? But my mom was close with, at some point, really close with all her siblings at some point, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, so the family started to fall apart. They know her. They know she wasn't going to kill herself. They know, you know, they know all this shit. Fucking hang up a poster. My mom was like a second mom to everyone's kids. All her nieces and nephews. So you're going to tell me you're going to forget all of that? And you can't hang up a poster because... Why? Strangers were hanging up posters. Mm-hmm. You didn't hate her that much that you can't hang up a fucking missing person thing in your store?
That's, yeah.
Like, that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
She literally didn't do anything to them to cause that.
She actually kept them out of prison.
Yeah. They would have still been in jail in 2010.
That's a horrible thing to think.
That's the reality, though, of the whole thing.
Yeah. So we'll end this with, we're coming up on 15 years next month. It's like, this is solved.
Yeah.
This is this was solved within...
Day one.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, did we think it would take this... Did we think that we'd still be doing this 15 years later? No, we did not. You know, we were told from the beginning, patience. And we're like, there's no way it's going to go that long.
Well, listen, you guys win the award for patience.
So here we are. You know, we thought we'd have some justice for her by now.
We got some good things coming. But we've been brainstorming what we're going to do.
Yeah, we are. And we're not going to stop till we get there. Mm-hmm. So 15 years, 20 years, hopefully it's sooner than later.
Yeah.
But we got some good things coming. We got some ideas.
I think that's just a testament, too, for the love and drive she instilled in you guys, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's a good... And
there was no other option here, so...
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you, everybody, for listening, and we have somebody special coming next episode.
We do.
We do.
You're gonna love it.
Should I tell them his past titles?
We can give a little teaser if you would like.
Yeah. So our next episode's gonna be with somebody. I'm not giving names, but I'm gonna tell you a few things about this individual to give you an idea. He is a former gun and drug prosecutor, lead attorney for Organized Crime Division in Michigan, Attorney General's office, and he's one of the biggest criminal case lawyers in the history. So we will see, but he will be on, and he's going to give you guys a lot of information for things that we've been working. So
and hopefully can help explain a couple things that we don't understand either. So.
Yeah, Yeah. Awesome.
It'll be good.
We'll
You'll
leave you
love
with that. Awesome. Okay, guys. We'll see you after
Thanks, guys.
Christmas and after the New Year, and we'll be back.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.